Hello, Thrivers. Have you ever felt like you have this gag reflex of over explaining? Like maybe at work, you want to take the day off in 3 weeks. You know, you're totally entitled to be able to do that. But inside, you feel like you have to explain and give so much information as if you need to prove you're right to have the day off. Or maybe you're trying to make a point to somebody, you're trying to explain it, but you feel like you have to give so much detail again, as if you need to prove, and there's some kind of emotional forensics going on that somebody's going to evaluate and kind of accept your reality or deny it. And you need to prove it for you to be able to hold on to it. So most people know that over-explaining is a trauma response. You'll find that everywhere. I was looking up information the other day, and every time I was looking up information on over-explaining, the same phrase kept coming up. You over-explain because you had trauma in childhood. You over-explain because you endured gaslighting. You over-explain because somebody never listened to you. You over-explain because others denied your reality. And I agree with all of those things. And for some people, they can learn that and be like, oh, that's why I over-explain. And now they can start putting action to change that. And sometimes it works for them. And if so, wonderful. But for many of us, myself included, the knowledge of why I was over-explaining did not have the power to help me to stop over-explaining. Because like every article that I was looking up said the same phrase, over-explaining is a trauma response. And it's not enough to identify that it's a trauma response in order to stop. It's very much like if I have pain because of a splinter. I can acknowledge that my hand hurts because I have a splinter. There's the logic. But until I remove the splinter, the pain is going to persist because it's telling me that something in my body needs attention. Well, it's the same thing with the emotional trauma. Yes, over-explaining is like that splinter. We can identify that it's there because of trauma, but until we remove the trauma, then it's very hard to work through the over-explaining. We can try to use sheer willpower, but we are working with our conscious mind against our subconscious when we do that. And guess who's going to win? Okay, so I wanted to explain without over-explaining why or what is involved in working through that trauma. So not too long ago, I had a workshop. It was my first workshop that I ever did, and it was about working through anger from the past. And in that workshop, I talked about the difference between pain and trauma, because people can go through the same experience, and one person walks away and it hurt what they went through, but it doesn't change their life. The other person went through the same experience and it resulted in trauma, and it has changed their life because the trauma is still alive in them. So what's the difference? And it boils down to the fact that if you have trauma, trauma means that you now have changed, altered how you see yourself in a disempowering way. So your beliefs about yourself are what result in the trauma. It's more these limiting beliefs that were created than the actual event itself that causes trauma to continue like a splinter in your body. Okay, so some beliefs that come about that cause a person to over-explain are the following. Get my nerd glasses on. Wrote them out for you guys. Okay, so some of them, and I encourage you to identify if any of these resonate with you. So I put down, I'm a bad person if I say no or have a different opinion. My job is to make others happy, even at the expense of self. I'm not allowed to disagree or have my own opinion. I don't deserve to care about my wants and needs. I don't matter. I can't trust myself. If others are mad or disappointed, it's my fault and I'm bad. My worth is based on making others happy. Other people are more important and valuable than me. No one cares about me, but my job is to care about everyone else. and I don't have permission to speak up. And actually, I'm going to add one more. Unless you agree with me, I'm not allowed to hold on to my own reality. And that's very much formulated because of narcissistic abuse. Okay. So my point is, if any of these beliefs are still in you, are still residing even on a subconscious level within you, then it will be extremely hard to stop over-explaining, because our beliefs are like subconscious programs. So what will happen is we'll be in a circumstance where we have to be assertive. And there's another belief that just popped into my head. Being assertive is bad. Okay. There's so many limiting beliefs that are the cause of the over-explaining. And if we don't change those beliefs, then we're only doing symptom management, where we're trying not to over-explain and we're using sheer willpower, but the beliefs are fueling all of the discomfort in our body that winds up causing us to act in ways that we don't want to act. So working through over-explaining, people-pleasing, it's all about changing your beliefs. That's the cptsd recovery part of narcissistic abuse. Okay, the abuse put those beliefs in you, and you will feel like you are suffering from narcissistic abuse, whether the person is in your life or not. No matter how many years continue on in your life, you will feel like you're still suffering from narcissistic abuse until those beliefs change. And I get a little bit frustrated when I see people that say, you're going to have CPTSD forever. Because that's like saying your brain, once it's been changed, can never get changed back. Your brain, once your beliefs have been altered, they are now permanent, when that's not true. Thanks to neuroplasticity, we can change our brain. We can change our beliefs, but time isn't going to do it. It's not something that happens without our effort. We have to do our part. It is challenging. I wish I could say it's super easy, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's challenging, but it's worth it. So if you are tired of over-explaining, and if you're tired of dealing with the symptoms of narcissistic abuse, and you've been in symptom management for a long time, starting January 1st, we're going to take a 3-month deep dive into healing the relationships that have been damaged because of narcissistic abuse. And that includes the relationship with your nervous system, the relationship with yourself and how you see yourself, as well as your relationship with others. And all of that involves upgrading our beliefs. So if you want to join us, the doors to enrollment close December 31st. So you have this month to think about it. And for 3 months, we're going to do a deep dive to really work through the side effects, not on a symptom level, but really at the roots, so that you can create the life that you want and make 2022 a year where you really experience a tremendous shift on your personal growth.